over the years, over the decades in the 1700s, something really interesting happened to the insurance market at Lloyd's. And that is, it went from being this useful service, insurance, to being a market for rampant speculation.
Almost like this happens anytime there's a market, but go on.
Yes, yes. Which is kind of reassuring, right? Everybody's like, oh, the world today. No, in fact, in the 1700s at Lloyd's, people start taking out insurance policies on voyages where they have no financial stake. They're just sitting there being like, oh, that guy's ship? It's finished.
I saw a drunk captain. I'm taking out insurance on that guy.
They even start taking out life insurance policies on random people, like some guy on trial for treason. They'll basically be betting that he's found guilty.
And they invented Kalshi poly market.
Yes, prediction markets, right?
Yeah.
Yes, we call this prediction markets today. And interestingly, everybody is like, oh, this because the world is so bad today. Everything is so financialized now. No, the world has been kind of gross and financialized for 300 years. Actually, more. We recently did a prediction market story, and it actually goes back even farther.
There are people who argue that what was happening in the coffee shop may have some positive effects. If someone knows the captain is drunk, goes in, takes out a policy on him, you're at least sharing information. That is information, and that's what you're in the coffee shop for. So that's the pro-prediction markets argument.
That's fair. There are lots of people today and then who say it's just gross and bad and not doing what insurance is doing. And crucially at Lloyd's, some of the underwriters, some of the people who were doing their business there, hated this prediction market thing. And not just in a, these degenerate gamblers are making us look bad kind of way. Because of the nature of insurance, right? In a normal business, you pay your money, you look at the merchandise, it's fine, you walk away, and that's the end of it. But insurance is not like that. In insurance, you pay your money, and then you go away for a month, 6 months, a year. And if your ship sinks, you come back, and then you have this giant claim.
It's a relationship. You have to be able to find the underwriter after something goes wrong.
You have to trust. You have to trust that they're going to be around and they will give you the money. And so, reputation always has some value in business. But in insurance, reputation is profoundly important. And so in 1769, a bunch of underwriters who are worried about their reputation decide to separate themselves from the gamblers at Lloyd's, break away to a new coffee house. They leave Lloyd's. They set up a new coffee shop that they call New Lloyd's.
Wow. 3 L's, so they're first in the phone book.
AAA Lloyd's Insurance. And then a couple years after that initial split, 79, I believe it's 79 of these merchants and underwriters who've gone to start New Lloyd's, they take an even more important step. They decide, we're not just a bunch of people who happen to work in the same room, in the same coffee shop. We're something more than that. We're not exactly a company. We don't work for some boss. But we are what? We're an association. They come to be known later as the Society of Lloyd's. And so they create a set of rules that they all agreed to abide by. And they actually have a leader who emerges at this time, not a boss, because they don't have a boss, but a guy who's clearly kind of bringing them together, making them something more than a bunch of people who happen to work in the same room. This guy is, I was going to say he's the first key figure in the history of Lloyd's, but I guess Lloyd was the first key figure. So he's the second key figure. His name is John Julius Angerstein. His name was my name too, and whenever we go out, people always shout. John Julius Angerstein was born in St. Petersburg, Russia. Moved to London as a teenager, started hanging out at Lloyd's, doing a little underwriting on the side, as people did. And John Julius Angerstein was very good at pricing risk, which is the essential skill for an underwriter.
Do we know why? Was he better at math?
Don't know. Don't know. Just know that he kept getting it right to the point where the policies he wrote became known as Julian's.
Ooh, gold standard.
Yeah, like a brand. And everybody else was eager to get in on them. Underwriters would share risk. So he actually started this thing at Lloyd's where there would be a lead underwriter. The first person who underwrote it would set the premium, and then everybody else would just be in or out.
Yeah, and if John Julius is your lead underwriter, you're like, this is easy money.
This is easy money. He knows how to price risk.
Yeah.
And Lloyd's is rising in stature now, and they decide, coffee house isn't going to do it. And so they all put up £100 to find a new location, and they move to the Royal Exchange, not a stock exchange, but kind of a commercial building. Queen Elizabeth had opened it a couple hundred years before this. And this is where Lloyd's becomes, the Lloyd's of London that we know, the place where everybody goes to insure a ship or the goods on a ship. And now Lloyd's is highbrow. It has become highbrow. Angerstein is friends with Nelson, the naval hero, with Pitt, the prime minister. He collects Renaissance paintings. In fact, after he dies, a bunch of his paintings become like the nucleus of the National Gallery in London. And John Julius Angerstein has this one moment that his like signature moment. And it comes in 1799 when there's a financial crisis in Hamburg, what is not yet Germany. And London bankers want to step in to prevent the crisis from spreading. There's no central banks really yet at this point. And so the bankers get together a bunch of gold and silver that they're going to lend to the bankers in Hamburg to try and stop the crisis there. The gold and silver is loaded onto a ship called HMS Lutine that had been won from the French earlier. Fun.
It's a ship loaded with gold and silver setting out on the high seas.
We know what's going to happen, and we know what's going to happen first. What's going to happen first is there's one place you go before your ship full of gold and silver leaves port.
Yes.
Lloyd's, to buy insurance for all that gold and silver. John Julius Angerstein is the lead underwriter. The ship sets sail.
Riding low in the water. It's filled with gold and silver.
And it does hit a storm off the coast of the Netherlands. Crashes into a sandbank. It sinks. Captain Lancelot Skinner goes down with the ship. Of more than 200 people on board, only one survives.
Wow.
And a few weeks later, John Julius Angerstein and the other underwriters pay the claim in full.
That is brand management.
That is brand management. Now, you have a ship full of gold and silver, and it's not like out in the middle of the ocean. It's, off the coast of the Netherlands. You can see it. And so, of course, people are always going out there being like, I want some of that gold. And occasionally they manage to, get a little bit, but there's no great recovery. But they get the ship's bell. The ship's bell, it's kind of cool. It's not a fortune, but it's cool. And they send the bell back to Lloyd's. And Lloyd's puts the bell in the middle of the room, the underwriting room.
And is this a reminder to always get the price of insurance right?
It is a reminder, and a reminder that Lloyd's pays its claims. But they do also give it a functional role. And that was this. When news came in about an overdue ship that had been insured by Lloyd's, they would ring the bell. One ring meant the ship had sunk. Two rings meant it had arrived safely. So you can imagine the drama, right? They ring it once and everybody pauses.
Bong!
Hurrah!
Huzzah!